Hey, what's going on, guys? It's SKOLSIDE back again. We have another podcast. I believe this is episode 5. We took a couple weeks off just because there's not much to talk about going on in the Vikings, I guess, world right now. But we decided we're going to be breaking down the Chicago Bears, kind of like their offseason moves, giving you guys, like, just one of our biggest rivals, giving you guys, like, a preview of what to expect from this year. Obviously, Bears fans, if you're watching this video, don't get too pissed off with us. We don't really know your team. I'm sure we're going to say some things and we're going to comment. You have no idea what you're talking about and all that. But we're just going to give you guys a breakdown on the Bears and asking the question, why do they have 9 tight ends on the roster right now? But we're going to get right into it.
True.
All right, so, the first thing I think we got to talk about is just the Trubisky and Nick Foles thing. I think I said this for a little bit. As a Vikings fan, I fear Foles way more than Trubisky. And what my prediction is going into the year, week 1, they're on the road in Detroit. They're going to lose like 13-10, 13-7. Then Foles will step in. That's what I think is going to happen. But what do you guys think about the situation?
Mitch is going to he'll get every opportunity he get to start for sure. Coming, I think, in training camp, he'll be the starter from day one. But yeah, there'll be a short leash there for sure. Last year he was, he just didn't take that next step. You could just watching Bears games, just was missing a lot of deep throws. Guys open, but he would just overthrow them. And I also kind of don't think that Nagy used him properly all the time. He's better when he's rolling out. We'll get him on the move back then. But yeah, this year I think I would say he'll get a chance. But if he struggles to start, Nick's right there, and I think he'll get an opportunity. But they'll give him as much time as he needs because, like I said, he's connected to Mitch. So if Mitch ends up being the second guy or backup, then that's not going to be good for Pace. So, but yeah, I think Mitch will get every opportunity he can.
My prediction would be for Trubisky is just with everything that's going on and who knows what training camp's going to look like and what happens there. I'm going to give Trubisky the first month and see what happens. 4 games and see what happens. Now, if they start 0-2, then they might have a quick hook. But if he plays kind of inconsistent, like a 1-1, 1-2, they might stick with him. Not to just panic and everything. But this is a big year for them. They had a great year 2 years ago. Trubisky showed some promise at times. And last year was just a real big, colossal disappointment for them. So I think Trubisky's going to end up winning the job. And Nick Foles I know he reworked his contract, but he's a pretty expensive backup quarterback, and he gave up a 4th-round pick for him. But yeah, I think Trubisky wins the job, and I think he gets at least the first month, and we'll see how they do. Yeah. And I don't think Trubisky's very good anyway.
Yeah, I don't think I think Nick Foles and Trubisky are very similar. I think Foles can, I guess, use Nagy's system better than Trubisky can, and I think that's a fault on Nagy. He was trying to make Trubisky a quarterback that he wasn't playing to his strengths, and that's all the NFL is. You see what the Vikings do with Kirk. Just bootleg, play action. That's what he's good at. It seemed like Nagy was trying to make Mitch something that he really wasn't. And I think Foles does that better. So, honestly, I think it comes down to if Nagy's going to be a stubborn coach and not play to his strength, then I think Nick Foles could win the job. But if he actually does what Trubisky does well, and that's because, yeah, he's not a good sit-in-the-pocket type of guy, but he can he's a kind of a playmaker. He kind of has that, type of, backyard football type of feel to him. That's when he's at his best. But, people would say it's all on the Bears quarterback. If they figure that out. But, if you look at their offensive line, that is a total mess. I think they have, T.J. Clemmings starting at guard right now, which, we know he's terrible.
Yeah. Don't give me that.
Well, I think they got that Affetti guy from Seattle. I think he's slated to start at guard. They didn't. I don't know if they picked up any. I don't believe they picked up any day one contributors in the draft. But yeah, their offensive line was a mess last year. They switched the center and the guard with Daniels and Whitehair, and then they switched back during the season. Yeah. So that was a huge problem for them last year. And then they've kind of gone. Their offensive staff went through a whole coaching interchange. They got rid of Harry Easton, the guy from Notre Dame, and then now they brought in a new offensive coordinator. So it's really interesting to see what they do offensively. But no, it wasn't just the quarterback last year, like you said, Pat. Nagy had a real bad year last year. And you think about it for an offensive coach, in 2 years he's been the head coach, their offense hasn't been very good each year. Like, they were 21st 2 years ago, and last year they were just awful. So he has a lot to prove this year.
Yeah, pressure's on for sure for Nagy. I don't really like his offensive game plan a lot of the time. It's a lot of dink and dunk, 2-yard outs. Just trying to get his receivers in space. He doesn't there's not as many vertical opportunities, and I think that's the name of the game in the NFL is to hit teams deep, and get those big chunk plays. But he likes to do those short screen plays. Try to get his fast guys out in space. So I think he needs to make some adjustments there. But yeah, he's under some heat this year for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's all Trubisky last year. I don't think it was all Nagy. I mean, it had been a combination with the offensive line and all that. I mean, the Bears' offense, I mean, they still have Allen Robinson is a beast. I think he's one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL.
Yeah.
Besides that, they don't have much at receiver, but you're bringing in Cole Kmet and you have Jimmy Graham. I know Jimmy Graham's he's not that good anymore, but it's still bringing in somebody like red zone. Cole Kmet's going to be probably a stud. And then you got two pretty good running backs in Cohen and Montgomery. I mean, if they could somehow put it together, I mean, because their offense at the end of the day, it doesn't need to be the Chiefs. Like, it just needs to put up 17 to 24 points a game, give their defense a chance to go win the game. But then again, I think, was it 2 years ago when they went 12-4, their defense scored a lot of points, or they put their offense in the red zone. Last year, their defense was still very good, but they didn't get and turnovers are very fluky in the NFL. They got a lot of turnovers in the other team's territory. So we'll see if the defense can try to replicate that and that help out the offense a ton. But I mean, I think it's a huge year for the Bears organization as a whole, especially the offensive side, because we could see a whole turnover where next year it's they're looking to draft a quarterback in the first round again.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. You're right about their defense. I mean, their defense has just been it's probably, in my opinion, it's the best defense in the division. Just from top to bottom. When you have a player like Khalil Mack, they don't need to score that much. That's why I think they're a real big threat. Speaking as a Vikings fan here, for a team that can't beat the Bears anymore. Yeah.
Seriously.
They're still a pretty big threat because of that defense. They don't need to score many points to win.
Yep. And I'm not that nervous about Cole Kmet being a huge. I mean, tight ends in the NFL, they take a couple of years to develop. I mean, it's because you got to learn the blocking scheme, you got to learn routes. I mean, you're a lineman and you're a pass catcher. I mean, you saw with Irv Smith last year, there was moments where he looked lost, where they said he wasn't picking up on the playbook, and they were both. I think Cole Kmet was 49, Irv was 50 in the draft. Very similar guys.
Yep.
So I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think Mike, we were talking about before we started this was the Bears defense is pretty. I mean, it's pretty sweet, but in their secondary, besides Eddie Jackson and Kyle Fuller, I mean, there could be some holes that teams could exploit in the secondary of the defense.
Yeah, I saw that. I was looking at the depth chart, and just after Kyle Fuller, Eddie Jackson, it's kind of a lot of no-name guys if you're looking at it. Losing to Mukamara is going to be huge for them. So I think they're going to have some guys step up for sure in the secondary to kind of offset those losses, because they're going to have to really have a big year from their front seven too. I mean, that front. Just looking at that front seven, that's a great front seven.
I mean that front seven's up there with San Fran. I mean, it's got to, especially with adding Robert Quinn. That's just disgusting. I mean,
yeah, that's just going to help their secondary too, getting that pressure on the quarterback. They want to hold up too long back there. But we'll see. The secondary definitely has some holes. But the Khalil Mack, Hakeem Hicks, that's as good as you can get. So secondary is a question mark, but overall defense is definitely a problem.
Yeah, I think I forget the guy who they drafted at 50 this year. The cornerback. Yeah, I can't remember where he's from.
I think Utah. It could be.
Yeah, you're right. And I know he's had some injury. I think they got pretty high hopes for him. And then there's other position. Their safety. I know they had Clint Dix last year. I think it's between Deion Bush, and they signed some guy who used to play for Houston. I forget his name, but
Tayshaun Gibson, maybe.
Yeah, Tayshaun. Yeah, and
now.
But with that front seven, adding Robert Quinn, I mean, it'll be interesting. So I've read up some things on Robert Quinn about him playing in a 3-4 or a 4-3 and kind of like his sack production, but he's been pretty consistent over his career, and putting him on the opposite side of Khalil Mack and then Akeem Hicks, that's really scary. I mean, I could just imagine, when you see the Vikings try to block, that's kind of scary. I don't know what kind of game plan the Vikings can do with their zone blocking scheme against Akeem Hicks, Khalil Mack, and Robert Quinn. And so,
I mean, the Bears could legitimately drop 8 in coverage and get pressure every single time with those 3. And I mean, Bradbury and whoever the guards end up being are going to have a tough time with Hicks, because he is, I mean, I still say he is probably one of my favorite non-Vikings in the league. And it sucks that he's on the Bears, because he is so underrated and so underappreciated with what you saw last year when he got hurt. Khalil Mack wasn't where he was, and Khalil Mack's still obviously a beast, but like conditioning wise, Khalil Mack that's always been his negative. He's every other pass rushing in the run, everything. Khalil Mack's good, but when it comes to conditioning, that's why you see teams run at him on 1st and 2nd down. So you force him to get tired for those 3rd down passing situations. He's not at 100%. And when Hicks is there, you let Matt kind of get a coast on 1st and 2nd, and then just let him unleash on 3rd with Robert Quinn. I mean, especially against the Vikings offensive line, I mean, they could really drop 7 and get drop 8 and get pressure almost every time.
No, for sure. Hicks, you love Hicks because he's always getting consistent pressure. He's always, that interior pressure is so crucial, and he's always been great at it. But he's always consistent too. It's not like he'll do it one time and then it takes a few plays off. It's all the time he's putting pressure on from the inside. And that's going to be tough for the Vikings, because obviously they have a smaller D line or O-line, sorry. And then Hicks is just he's big, so that was always a problem against him last year and the year before that. So he's a beast.
I think a great question that we could talk about is, which Matt Nagy's going to show up this year. I mean, you saw in his first year, I mean, as a Vikings fan, I remember, I was just talking to my dad, and we were just we would love to play for him. It seemed like such a fun environment, club dub and everything. But it seemed like in year 2, when it started to go downhill a little bit, and the way he started talking to the media, and he came off very snarky and just not a likable person, which was complete opposite from year 1. And I don't know if I feel like Nagy's the type of coach when your team's rolling, there's no other coach you would want. But when you start losing, you start looking at him hey, you need to shut up. I'm getting sick of you, type of coach. But it would depend how the Bears start. I mean, last year they started 3-1 and they fell apart. I mean, if they start 3-1 again, they could still fall apart. And that's, I don't know. I mean, Bears are such a up and down team. I feel like you don't really know what you're going to get from them.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, the first year they got him, I was he's a young guy, a lot of energy, players coach, the players are going to, saw that year 1. I mean, even though the offense wasn't great, but that D was unbelievable. They wanted to play for him. You could tell with the energy they played with every time. Last year, I just think what happened last year is there was just no adjustments made. They kind of caught on to him a little bit, offensively. He just never changed. He just kind of kept doing the same thing over and over again, and it kind of cost him. The D was still good, but they didn't get all those turnovers like they did the year before that, which helped them a ton with their offense, scoring points. But, we'll see. You're right. He's a stubborn guy for sure. He doesn't like to change, but I think the key is, can he make those adjustments? Can he put Mitch in the best chance? Give him the best chance to succeed, which is rolling him out. Letting him get out and move, let him run a little bit. It helps a ton. Just getting those first downs. With his feet, because he's athletic. He can get out and run. He can kind of get around those defensive ends. Those fast guys. So we'll see what happens. But I'm expecting them to buy in, and I think the Bears will have a pretty good year.
I think with Matt Nagy as play caller, I think if things don't improve from what they did last year, he never really called that many plays in Kansas City. I think he took over the second part of the half of the season in 2017 for the Chiefs, or the last 5 or 6 games or something. And then he's obviously called plays for the Bears 2 years in a row, and I mean, if you think about it, probably one of the reasons why he was getting snarky is, his ego's got to be a little hurt. I mean, their offense it was just so bad last year. I mean, like, for a team, they were just horrible. Like, I mean, they were scoring, I think it was 17 points a game, in the NFL, in an offensive league. That's pretty hard to do, especially if you have an offensive head coach. So there's no doubt he's feeling the pressure. I think, he brings a very positive atmosphere, and he brings good energy. And you're right, Pat. I think he's a guy that he's a guy that players want to play for. Like I said, he's a very positive guy. He seems like he's always upbeat. And he does have some creative things that he can do offensively. But last year it just did not work with Trubisky as his quarterback. It was kind of like he was trying to fit. To make Trubisky do that he's not really comfortable doing. Sitting in the pocket in the shotgun, and he's running Tariq Cohen between the tackles. I hope he continues to do that stuff. That'd be great. Nothing brings me more joy than the Bears losing. But I think he will make some adjustments this year. I think he'll be okay. But I still see them as a 9-10 win team. At the best. At the worst, they're probably going to win. If they have a bad year, they go 6-7 wins. Just because of their defense. They're going to be in a lot of close games. So some are going to fall their way. So I think they're a pretty similar team to the Vikings in terms of at the best they're probably a 10-11 win team. At the worst, they're a 6-7 win team. So we'll see how the chips fall. But there's definitely a lot of pressure on them for sure.
Yeah. I think one of the funniest things when the schedule came out was the NFL gave the Bears Vikings Monday Night Football in Chicago. I was looking at the game. I'm like, God, they really want this game to be 9-7 and that be the final. Bears win. They really that was one of the most crazy things that you're gonna put that on a Monday night. Is Kirk's? Maybe the whole narrative going into it is. Vikings, maybe they'll be having a good year. Bears will be having a good year, and will Kirk finally get his first Monday night win? That'll probably be. The line in that game should probably be 7.5 for the Bears, and the over/under will probably be 30. It will be. That game will be one of the most interesting games. I feel like it'll be fun to watch for the fans, but not for. Or for fans of the Bears and Vikings, not for anybody else.
No, it's gonna be terrible. It's always terrible when they meet on national TV.
I don't understand why that's the NFL doesn't look at the previous seasons and see their scores, and it's just ugly football, and it's just not watchable. I don't understand why they play on Monday night every year. It's downright terrible. Yeah.
All right, so if you guys had sorry to cut you off. All right, if you guys had to give your prediction for the Bears. Jimmy, I kind of mentioned, throw out a number. How many wins do you think they'll get? What do you think their max potential, lowest potential? I think they'll be 8-8 again. I think it's going to be – I think their worst they could be is a 5-win team, and the only way that can happen is if there's just a ton of drama between Mitch and Nick Foles and Nagy starts pulling one in. You saw what I don't know what game. I think it was against the Rams when Nagy pulled Mitch – in the fourth quarter when the game was over. And it was for one last shot. If he starts doing stuff like that and starts pulling them in and out, then I feel like it could be bad. Then it could be a dumpster fire. However, I could easily see them being a 10-11 win team max. I don't think their offense can carry them to past 10 or 11 wins. However, it's just if the defense just absolutely balls out, which it has full potential to do, they will for sure be in the playoffs. That's why I think. Yeah. I think they'll go 8-8. I think they'll just be their defense will carry them. Their offense very similar to last year. That's what I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm thinking 8-9 wins right now. Just looking at their their roster. They have a chance. With that extra team in the playoffs, they have a chance to get in this year. But if the D can get back to what they did 2 years ago, getting all those turnovers, helping the offense out a ton, being that game changing type D. They could 2-10-11 games for sure, if Trubisky takes that next step, he's really good, or Nick Foles, I don't know, helps out, he doesn't get injured, which he is very injury prone. But if he's good, they could win 10. But right now, I'm thinking 8-9 wins for sure.
I'm gonna go with 9 wins. I think they're gonna be 9-7, and I think Trubisky. Like I said, I think Trubisky's gonna get the first month. I think he's gonna struggle or be inconsistent. I think Foles will come out of the bullpen, and maybe lead him to that 7th or 6th playoff spot. That's what I think is gonna happen. I think I just don't think Trubisky's gonna last this year. I just don't think the guy is just gonna be an NFL quarterback. I haven't seen anything. You see some flashes, but. We give Nagy a hard time for last year, and that's definitely true. But there are just some plays last year where you just look and he just struggles with accuracy, and I just that's a really hard thing to fix for quarterbacks. So I think Foles comes out of the bullpen and leads him to 9 wins.
Yeah, 9 wins, 8 wins. 2 of them will be against the Vikings. That's all. That's all I know. But
you're right. I think the Vikings get them at home this year. I think the Vikings will split with them. Probably.
I swear to God, they better split with them, or else there's serious problems.
I'll be pissed if they go 0-2 against the Bears again.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyways, that's what we think about the Bears season. That's the NFC North rival. Next week we will most likely do the Lions, and then we'll probably save the Packers breakdown for the finale, because I think that's gonna be a rival coming down in the division. It always has been. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Bears fans, don't be too mad. We said you're going to win 8 wins. I was about to come in here and say you're going to win 5. So, anyways, thank you guys for watching. Sub to the channel, leave a comment down below, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks.